Day 2 of the Dale Warner murder trial. I'm Melissa Andrews, a crime and investigative reporter. I'm following the murder trial of Dale Warner. He's accused of killing his wife, Dee, in 2021 and then welding her inside a fertilizer tank on his property where she was found 3 years later. Our first witness this morning was Zach Bach. He is Dee's son. I thought he was a very credible witness. He seemed believable and empathetic, and he told a story that he was extremely close, and we've heard this before, to his mother, Dee Warner, and it's very clear that he's also close to the rest of his siblings. So he also worked for all three businesses, DDW Investments, Warag Farms, and Warag Farms Services. There were several other employees that they had. And the home was on the same piece of property as several barns and an office. So Zach testified that Dee always had a phone in her hand. The only time she didn't respond was when she was killed. He said usually her Cadillac was locked. Her phone case was her day-to-day wallet, and she kept her purse in the Cadillac, a clutch. Dee and Dale fought just about every day related to money or businesses. He talked to Dee on the 24th that morning at Amber's for a cup of coffee, and I thought that was very nice too. He clearly goes to his sister's just to visit and have a cup of coffee. They begin texting back and forth later, Zach and Dee, about issues involving two of the trucking employees. Dee said she was done with everything and she wanted out of the marriage and the trucking company, but she had said these things before. They continued texting most of the evening about the fight with the employee. The last time he heard from Dee was 7 or 8 p.m., then went to the farm on Sunday when his sister said that mom was missing and both cars were at home. Tried calling and texting. Sometimes Dee would leave for a day or two to go to Greg's or her kids' houses. The mom's Hummer was at the office, again on the same property, which was weird because she was mostly driving the Cadillac. The trucking employee, was supposed to clean his truck out. His name is Terry. Zach looked into the truck and all his belongings were still there. Dale approaches him in the driveway and asks Zach if he knew where Dee was. They both walk back down to the office, and he heard Dale say, "Aw, fuck." And Dale was holding Dee's wedding ring. Zach goes to the camera system to see if Dee was on the camera leaving and what time that was. And Dale was right next to him. He said, right here. He thought maybe she would have walked to another property, so he went to see if she was staying there, checked his own house because she always went over to his house. Called a police officer friend who said, you need to call the state police. He called his siblings. They all wanted to call police, but Dale said wait a day or two because she's left before. They called the state police who put them back to the Lenawee County Sheriff's Department, which sent a deputy that day, Sunday. So Zach goes back to Dee's on Monday morning and checked the company and Dee's credit cards to see if there were any usage. He didn't find any. This is the first time we hear of Detective Kevin Greca. He's the one that allegedly avoided testifying in this case, ignored his subpoena. So Detective Greca reaches out to Zach, and that is because he is now on the job Monday. And he said he was going to go to the bank to see if there was any activity on the cards. So they both went off to the bank. Dale was tiling the fields. Zach left, and Zach had lived there several times. Dee had bought Zach a safe with the intention of her using it. He kept it in his bedroom, and he put in personal documents. Dee put in cash and other things. Only Dee and Zach had access to this safe. On cross-examination, he said that he had lived at the Munger property in high school and again in 2013-14 and maybe around 2017-2019. There were fights, raised voices, but more recently, it increased. He said he actually can't remember a time they didn't fight, but fights were more frequent. They would lock the house. This was talked about. They would take Lena to Florida in March for extended periods of time. Sometimes they would lock the house or all doors instead of one. The door was always open when he would visit. So remember, this is cross-examination. The prosecution is the defense is pointing out that the doors were not always locked. Sometimes doors were left open. Zach paid most of the bills, but sometimes Stephanie, who is the secretary, would. Mom and Dale had personal banking accounts and checks, and they paid those themselves. A lot of their personal expenses were paid for with business credit cards. Mom would handle office stuff and Dale would handle farm stuff, but they both did stuff with customers. Would your mom stuff cash in the car and everywhere? Again, asked by the defense. And Zach answered yes. So they're trying to now weave in another theory that they want you to pay attention to. He did say the arguing got significantly worse from 2015 to 2021. He said the plan was always there, but something in there trying to make it work. So basically, why did Dee never leave? Because it sounds like they had both been through pretty bad divorces in the past, and they both wanted to make it work, even though it wasn't working. He said she would leave about 10 times a year, commonly would get into it with employees, but this one was different. This was something I've never seen, but other reporters have seen in court. The juror, number one, asked 2 questions. I only thought they can ask during deliberation, but they asked 2 questions. Again, I'm told that this is normal. Well, right before that, there was a redirect, and the prosecution said, did you ever call 911 or call police about your mom being missing prior to April 24th, 2021? Zach said no. Zach also said he was upset because Dale told him there was a bunch of money taken from a safe inside the house, and he was upset because a big amount of money it was. $50,000 to $100,000. Dale said Zach was upset because he was struggling to pay bills for the company. Okay, so the 2 questions from the jury, any animosity between Dale and Zach before Dee went missing? The answer was yes. And how was the relationship between Dale and Zach prior to Dee going missing? He said, we spoke about work-related things, and that was it.